Hello everyone, this is Hiliadan. I'm presenting the tactical challenge of January 2018. So this is a arena map. You can see the area of one player and of the user, and then the arena area in the center of the map with volcanic, tropical, etc. different climates. So the fight is happening here, and this is versus Imanuit, the Frostling sorcerer. So to combat her, because she has many frost and shock damage with all her units, and especially she has inflict stunning, so to fight her I decided to go with a fairy army, and I'm myself a sorcerer. So the fairy, the Nightshade fairies, they have 100% frost protection, fire protection, spirit protection, and shock protection. And the frost and shock is what interests me, because it means I can resist the inflict stunning, and I can also resist the frost damage from the ice queens, etc. So that was the reasoning behind my army, and actually this is not an army I made uniquely for this battle, so I didn't adjust it 100% for this battle, but it worked pretty well. And so I've got also an Air Elemental who also has 100% shock protection, which is very important, but he has 60% frost weakness, so actually he's not the best match, but he's still quite good, because what you don't want to is to get stunned. In terms of skills, so I took Summon Air Elemental, and in terms of combat spells, so as I said, it's not an army 100% for this battle, but you can see I have Starblade, Arcane Binding, which is not useful in this battle, Chain Lightning, Haste, and Mass Stasis. In terms of research, I've got what's Sorcery 1, so I've got 35 CP, and we will see it's quite important. I took Produce Fey to get the Fey Dwelling, so that's 1,500 research points in the arena, and I've got Skill of Fortune, and that's it. So I'm quite light in terms of Empire upgrades. And and I also have something very important, but which is not displayed, which is Shield of Dissipation, which gives me +1 resistance unless flanked, and +2 defense unless flanked. So that's also very, very strong against the frost and shock damage from the enemy units. So now let's have a look at the battle, but first maybe just quickly my leader. So Man Magical Being, Thunderstorm, Steel Enchantment, Charge Army, Projectile Reflection, Magic Affinity, and yeah. So let's go for the battle. So you are facing 3 heroes, including actually 1 leader, Frostling Sorcerer, and so one group has Eldritch Horror, and actually each group has 1 Eldritch Horror, and then they have several Frostling Ice Queens, and each Ice Queen has a Royal Guard with her, which will absorb pain from it. So it's a pretty tough fight, and you have to analyze it in details to see how to beat it. So the strategy I adopted is to go for Feys, but you've got other strategies, you have to find yours. So I've got a group here of a Raider and an Ice Scaper, which I will use as baits. Then I've got my main army with the Air Elemental, 2 Feys, 2 Nightshades, 1 Buttercup, so each of my stacks has a Buttercup to get the Bard skills and try to get some critical hits. And I've got the White Witch to give Frozen Flame to one of my units and open up 2 damage channels, Fire and Frost, and my leader. And then here I've got 4 Nightshades, and 1 Buttercup for the morale, and a Royal Guard for my leader. But it's not in my main army, because in my main army I want to get my best units to get the stack bonuses. So on turn 1, Imanuit cast Chaos Rift. Actually I did it manually, but she could also cast it automatically. So to start the fight, you need to go auto combat when you play the tactical challenge. So Chaos Rift is pretty devastating, doing 20 shock damage each round to 2 to 3 random enemy units, and the units in 1 hex radius. So it means you never should have any units adjacent to each other, and also it summons a random unit to fight for the caster, and that lasts 4 rounds. As you can see, no, you can't actually. So actually it costs 50 casting points to disjunct it, and as you can see I've got only 35, so I cannot disjunct it, which means I will have to play with it Then Imanuit will buff her units, so Grind Frozen Flame on the Eldritch. What? Oh, okay, sorry, I made that's pretty weird. I was able to modify the results of the replay because I pressed on disjunct on end spell. So let's have a look at the replay again without dispelling it this time. Sorry for the glitch. So she casts Chaos Rift, then Grand Frozen Flame, then the Royal Guards are going to do the Pledge of Protection, getting +2 defense on themselves and absorbing the damage and reducing it by 35%. So it means during the fight you have to target the Royal Guards as much as possible if you can. Target them directly instead of targeting the Ice Queens. Then we've got the one of the Ice Queen doing the Ice Nova, so she's breaking guard from my unit. But that's actually not very useful because she then does not do anything. So that's an issue from the AI, because then she's not guarding anymore, so I can do some stuff on her to flank her. So the plan here is to engage these units there and bait the units from here toward this area, so they will move like this, and I will move on the other side. I will move on the other side like, oops, sorry, like this, and so I will have time before these units arrive all the way to me, and so I can deal with these stacks and these stacks first, and deal only with 2/3 of his units. So because I've got Chaos Rift for 4 rounds and only some of my units can be affected by it, namely all the units except the Nightshade Fairies and the Air Elemental, so I'm going to get a lot of damage on them, especially my leader. So I want to guard with these units to avoid taking too much damage. So here you can see that I'm attacking this Ice Queen, and because I cannot reach the Royal Guard, so the Royal Guard is absorbing the damage, and as much as possible I'm flanking the Ice Queen by attacking her first from here, then from there, alternating between units in this area and units in this area to do as much flanking as possible. And I want to get the Ice Queen out on one round. You have to, when you start attacking one unit, you have to take it down in the same round. Otherwise you're just wasting your attack and she will do some damage to you. Then as much as possible I stay out of range, but at the same time I know these 2 units are going to reach me, but that's also good because it means they will not be guarding and then I can flank them. I gave the Frozen Flames to my Air Elemental because that's my main damage dealing unit, and now he has 4 channels, so when he's flanking he's doing some really great damage. And then I pass because, as I said, I want to be guarding to limit the damage I take from Chaos Rift. and so I'm taking about 50 damage from Chaos Rift. Then Imanuit cast Thunderstorm. You could also see that one Obsidian Wyvern was summoned by Chaos Rift. Thunderstorm is a different story. It costs only 10 casting points to disjunct, so I'm going to disjunct it with my leader, because if I don't, it gives 20% shock weakness to my units, so it means now my 100% shock protection units can be stunned, and I definitely don't want that. And actually, so you see now I have to pass inflict stunning test, and the Ice Nova can actually stun you, so you have to be careful with that. So he's moving here, and his main danger for me are the Horror and the Ice Queen, so I need to take them down as fast as possible. And first disjunct the Thunderstorm. Actually not first, because it can also help me increasing my frost and shock damage on enemy units. Also, you noticed I have Thunderstorm myself on my leader, but I will not use it during that fight, because that would decrease the shock resistance of my units below 100%, and then I could be stunned. Here you see I flanked the Eldritch with my Air Elemental, and I did some pretty good damage to her, about 50 damage to her. So that's really a lot, and also I managed to stun the Air Elemental, because my the Eldritch, I managed to stun it because the Air Elemental has inflict stun. So it's a really efficient unit doing a lot of damage. And then I'm going to finish the Eldritch. I'm pledging protection on my leader so that I can disjunct the Thunderstorm without worrying about the damage I will take. Now I attack directly. No, sorry, no, I don't attack directly the Frostling Royal Guard because it's too far. So also when you attack the Ice Queens, you need to pay attention how much HP does the Royal Guard has, so that you can try to calibrate your damage, not to waste too much damage on finishing them. So here he has only one HP left, so I phased one of my units to do just one hit and finish the Royal Guard. And here finishing the Eldritch with one of my unit doing lower damage, which is the Buttercup. Now I start really attacking the Ice Queen and not just the Royal Guard pledging protection for her. And here you can see my Raider and Ice Scaper staying out of range of the where are they? I'm on the other side of the map now. So yeah, out of range of these units, so they will move toward them, and I will still have time. So I'm kind of splitting them. So I took about 60 damage from the Chaos Rift, and actually the Raider took a bolt twice and died. So fortunately I still have the Ice Scaper to bait the enemy units. And now the enemy heroes, so the Dreadnought and the Archdruid are doing some damage to me, especially the Archdruid with the shoot longbow. Whereas, for instance, this Apprentice is doing Blight, Frost, and Spirit damage, and I'm immune to Frost and Spirit, so he's only doing Blight damage to my Nightshade, and actually I kept one Nightshade close to them so that they do not move forward, and that worked pretty well. As you can see, these four guys all stayed close to the Nightshade, and they didn't move forward, which would endanger my leader and my other units. So keeping one unit close to the enemy when you know it's going to take low damage is also a good strategy to keep his range unit far. But the White Witch doesn't do that, and why? That's because I'm immune to both our channels, so to find a valid target she has to move forward. My turn. So killing the Wyvern, and then I will have to kill the Frost Queen, the Ice Queens, and the Horror. And so to deal with the Horror, I'm going to use haste on my Air Elemental, which will allow him to move very far away. Doubling is, so now he has haste from my leader. Doubling is range in terms of movement, and ignoring all the attacks of opportunity that I could take from the White Witch, for instance. So that opens up the flank of the Horror from this Night Fairy. Then I open up the flank again by phasing one fairy which is almost full health behind. So the Eldritch is almost dead. He has 2 HP left, and then I use the Buttercup Fairy, which is dealing less damage, to finish it, to keep my high damage output units like the Nightshade to do something else. Then I retreat with my units toward this area, except with the Royal Guard, which I plan to use as another bait, but actually it's killed by the Chaos Rift, and the Chaos Rift also summon Air Elemental after having summoned a Phantasm Warrior on the previous turn. Then so he uses Araxizatol, his Dreadnought, to kill one of my Nightshade, then attack the Air Elemental with the Frostling White Witch, go kill my own Frostling White Witch with Imanuit, his leader, and his range units are doing some damage to my Nightshade. So here I have one remaining bait unit, which is Ice Caper, and it does its job, keeping the one Ice Queen and the Eldritch are busy on the left side. No, it's right side because I'm looking from the AI's side. So yeah, then this is a Phantasm Warrior summon last turn. So at this stage it's starting to become a bit better, even if actually at this stage I think I was quite worried, but actually if you think about it, it's not so bad, because I've got many units still alive, and after this turn you will see I will have killed many of his units. So here his leader actually has projectile resistance, projectile reflection, sorry, which means it sends back 50% of the damage it takes. So when I'm attacking with the Buttercup Fairy, I'm taking a lot of damage, but if I attack with a Nightshade Fairy, because she's immune to her own damage channel, Frost, Fire and Shock, so she takes no damage. So I used the Nightshade Fairy to attack Imanuit, and then I'm going to finish her with my own leader. And meanwhile I used a Buttercup Fairy to kill an Ice Queen, and then I'm using my Air Elemental to kill his AD, because I'm really doing a lot of damage with my Air Elemental. 20-40 damage, and I'm not taking that much, I'm only taking 5. So now I can attack directly this Royal Guard, which is linked to this Ice Queen. It's always better to attack with the Royal Guard directly, because they don't have the frost immunity, so they're taking more damage. Also, usually they have lower resistance, but now he's guarding, so it's not the case. And if you attack directly the Royal Guard, you don't have the 35% damage reduction. So wherever you can attack directly the Royal Guard. So when you kill Imanuit, it disjunct the thunderstorm. So that can be a strategy to go kill her at the beginning, and then you disjunct Chaos Rift, and you also disjunct thunderstorm, instead of trying to disjunct it yourself and when you need to kill her. So as I said, now I've got 4 enemy units here, but they are still quite far. And in this area I've got Imane, the Frostling Apprentice, a Dying White Witch, an Ice Queen, and further I've got this Royal Guard, and then further I also have this Air Elemental. So that's basically 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units from me, and I also he has this Phantasmaria, so that's 8 versus 5, and then after I deal with them versus also 5 plus the 2 behind. So it's starting to look much better actually. Oh, no, it's 7. But the Buttercup Fairy was not the main unit anyway. So what I'm going to do is to heal my Air Elemental, because that's my main damage dealing unit and it's starting to get low health, and use the Nightshades to kill 1 unit basically per Nightshade, and then I will be in an even better situation. So I'm going to end the video here. So yeah, killing the Phantasmaria with the Air Elemental, healing the Air Elemental, killing all the other units. So that was level 1 of the tactical challenge. I hope you enjoyed the video, it was useful for you. Please share your comments on YouTube. So I used a fairy army with a sorcerer, but I didn't take inflict stunning with the Empire upgrade that gives inflict stunning, because my fairies are not support, so they cannot use it. But there are many other strategies that can work against this level 1 of the tactical challenge. I hope we can have more people trying it and sharing their strategies with us. Level 2 is going to start soon. It's going to ban some units and skills, and then we will have level 3, where the units, the combo, so race class that you can choose will be limited to 1. So for instance it will be Goblin Sorcerer. Actually it's not going to be Goblin Sorcerer, but something like this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and see you in my other videos. Thanks for watching.